We are in a first alert weather day, and if you missed Mark's explanation of this yesterday evening, essentially what a first alert weather day is something that's a little bit higher impact than just our typical first alerts. And also it tends to be a wider spread, think more statewide. And we're bringing your attention to this because later today we will see wind and rain ramp up. We're expecting rain to be heavy at times, 1 to 2 inches of rain total. Wind gusts between about 30 and 40 miles an hour impacting travel on a busy day. There could be some minor coastal flooding, and the high elevations could even begin as a bit of wintry weather. Check of first alert live radar right now. Connecticut's only live radar shows nothing going on close to us. We are still dry. Clouds have been increasing, and we'll be back to about overcast skies within the next couple of hours or so, with temperatures staying around 40 degrees from 6 o'clock onward as showers develop and move in. Winds will be up out of the southeast, coming off the relatively warmer ocean. First alert futurecast shows the first showers approaching western Connecticut right around 4 o'clock this evening, and watch as they spread to the east. We start to see some wintry mix, even some snow across the highest elevations of Litchfield and Hartford counties into parts of Tolland and Windham counties. Along the shoreline in the southern half of the state, this begins as plain rain. But as we move milder air in, we see a very quick transition to just rain. So we're expecting the wintry aspect of this locally to be short-lived. We'll talk a bit more about region-wide in just a minute. After that, periods of rain continue. Some will be heavy. The heaviest rain is likely through early tomorrow morning, just before to around sunrise, and then things begin to taper off. First alert futurecast showing dry weather as early as 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, or perhaps by noon. So this brings 1 to 2 inches of rain across most of Connecticut, with a band of perhaps higher totals from New Haven County into Fairfield County. When it comes to snowfall, we're not expecting much of an impact here. But if you're traveling north, the Adirondacks of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, away from the shoreline, well, that's where we're expecting some higher totals, 6 to 10 inches across the mountainous regions of northern New England. Wind gusts begin to pick up back to about 15 to 25 miles an hour later this afternoon, ramping up later this evening. The strongest gusts will coincide with the heaviest rain tomorrow morning. That's when we see gusts between about 30 and 40 miles an hour, gradually tapering off as the day goes. And by tomorrow evening, we start to see calmer conditions. Clouds have been overspreading Connecticut. Here's a live look on our iCam in Torrington and a live look on our iCam in New Haven. Very similar conditions here as clouds continue to build in. So tomorrow, the rain risk is really centered around the morning. So if you're traveling early, that's where we will run into the biggest impacts as things dry up a bit in the afternoon, leading to gorgeous weather for Thanksgiving Day. Great weather for the Manchester Road Race, if not a little bit chilly, but dry, mostly sunny skies in the afternoon with temperatures back into the 50s. We are expecting a bit of a split in high temperatures tomorrow. 48 inland. We're thinking mid-50s along the shoreline, back into the 50s on Thanksgiving Thursday. Black Friday itself in the mid and upper 40s under mostly sunny skies. Down into the 20s as we begin the weekend. Temperatures will be in the lower half of the 40s on Saturday. By Sunday, we're back into the 40s. We are expecting some showers Sunday into Monday next week, Kara. There's still some big timing differences here. We have plenty of time to iron that out, but we want to give you the first alert that there will be travel impacts beginning later tonight into tomorrow morning, so make sure you stay weather aware. You can always track these on the WFSB weather app.